Hi, my name's Eric, and I'll be reading you selections from the e-edition of today's Cape Cod Times. Today's date is September 22nd. It's a Monday, and we'll start with the weather. Across the Cape and Islands today, sunshine, plenty of sunshine and clear overnight. A high of 70 during the day today and 60 in the overnight. Tomorrow, Tuesday, partly sunny, a little bit more humid, high of 75, low of 65. On Wednesday, expect morning showers, otherwise clearing throughout the afternoon, high of 72, low of 63 in the overnight. On Thursday, we'll see some sun and clouds mixed, high of 68, low of 60. And on Friday, chance for a couple of showers, high of 72, low of 60. The sun will rise at 6:30. Today, it will set at 6:38. We'll have 12 hours and 9 minutes specifically of daylight today, with the moon rising at 7:12 a.m. and setting at 6:51 p.m. Now we'll head to the front of the paper where the lottery results used to be kept. They no longer put the lottery results in the Cape Cod Times, so we go to masslottery.com. And why do we give you those lottery results? Well, because somebody asked for them. If there's something you would like read to people who are blind or print disabled, you can email us at info@audiblelocalledger.org or call us at 508-539-2030 and we'll consider reading it. And if you miss any of the information that we share in our readings, you can always go to audiblelocalledger.org and click on the Listen tab. It's a fully disability-compliant website, and on that Listen tab, you can catch up on 150 different readings that we have made chronologically. So the last one would be first, meaning the last one we just published, we just did. The most recent would be first, and the oldest would be at the back of that 150 revolving readings line. We also keep a wide variety of periodicals and literature there for your listening pleasure, as well as the shopping guides, so you'll know what's on sale at the supermarket. All of that's free for people who are blind or print disabled at audiblelocalledger.org. For the latest results, we go to masslottery.com for the numbers game. And in the midday drawing of Sunday, September 21st, the results were 1475. Yesterday's midday drawing of the numbers game, 1475. In the evening drawing last night of the numbers game, the numbers were 2140. Again, last night's evening drawing of the numbers game results, 2140. Good luck to all who play, and hey, remember us if you win. On the cover of today's Cape Cod Times, in his honor, Lance Corporal William Joseph Donovan Jr.'s parents, Jane and William Sr., prepared to reattach a flag to a bridge rededicated in his honor after the flags on the bridge were vandalized earlier this summer. And then there's another photo, and the caption reads, "A banner of Lance Corporal William Joseph Donovan Jr. is driven past the crowd, ending a bridge rededication ceremony in his honor after the flags on the bridge were vandalized this summer. The West Yarmouth Bridge is an overpass of Route 6. The photos were taken by Steve Heslip, and there are several people in attendance. There's actually quite a large crowd. And the headline, Falmouth school safety was checked following reported unusual activity by Heather McCarran. Heightened concerns about school safety in Falmouth prompted an early morning police search at Morse Pond School on Friday, September 19th, following a report of unusual activity, quote unquote, on school grounds the day before, according to police. On the evening of September 18th, a truck parked in the lot outside the 5th and 6th grade school. It raised alarm after an unidentified man was seen leaving the vehicle and walking into the surrounding woods, according to an advisory that Falmouth Public School Superintendent Lori Dewar issued to families that night. Police confirmed the incident on September 19th. Given the recent threats in the community, officers began an extensive search of the wooded area surrounding Morse Pond School, police said in a September 19th statement. A Mashpee Police Canine unit assisted, and the Falmouth Police Drone Unit and ATV Unit were sent into the area. At about 8:42 p.m. on September 18th, the man came out of the woods. Police said he fully cooperated with them in their questioning, and he was released. While no threat was identified, officers returned to the school at 6 a.m. September 19th to conduct an additional search of the grounds in daylight. Dewar noted this was done in an abundance of caution. Canine units from the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office and surrounding police departments assisted. No concerning items were found, police said. Dewar followed up with an email to the school community just before 8 a.m. on September 19th to report the finding. The school day at all of the district's buildings proceeded as normal. Throughout the incident, the Falmouth Police Department remained in constant communication with Falmouth Public Schools, police said. The incident's timing comes less than 3 weeks after 18-year-old Ian Fotheringham of East Falmouth was arrested on allegations of making threats about a school shooting. He had been seen on September 3rd in the woods behind T-Ticket Elementary School during a fourth-grade recess period. According to police reports, he had appeared to be taking photos or video, and a school safety monitor described his behavior as suspicious. The Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office stated in a release that school officials were worried he was casing, quote-unquote, the school. Fotheringham was later identified and arrested. According to police, a search of his home revealed a large 3D printer capable of producing a firearm, along with images on his phone related to the 1999 school shooting in Columbine, Colorado. He was arraigned September 12th in Barnstable District Court on a felony charge of threatening the use of a deadly weapon in a public building. At a September 16th dangerousness hearing, a judge ruled that the charge doesn't qualify as a predicate offense, allowing Fotheringham to be released on $2,500 bail with several conditions, including home confinement and ongoing mental health treatment. A predicate offense is a specific type of crime required by law to justify holding someone in custody before trial because of safety concerns. He never made any threats. He didn't make any threats. Somebody panicked. Somebody read his medical history and disclosed his medical history because they were concerned, and they really shouldn't have done that, said Kristen Condon, Fotheringham's attorney, during a court recess on September 16th. The teen's next court appearance is slated for October 6th, when a motion to dismiss the case will be heard. Meanwhile, local officials continue to emphasize their commitment to school safety. On September 16th, Dewar outlined safety measures in an email to the school community, which includes 7 schools. In partnership with the police department, the school department has 2 school resource officers available. A number of day shift officers are also assigned to visit the town's 5 elementary schools daily. Additional measures began September 17th with detail officers assigned to each of the elementary schools for at least the next 2 weeks, according to the superintendent's office. The school system employs a district safety and security coordinator, who's a retired police chief, and a former school resource officer. And all of the schools have dedicated safety monitors that receive specialized training. The other headline, that's local, on the Cape Cod Times of today, Monday, September 22nd. Not guilty plea filed in Barnstable crash where a woman lost her leg, by Desiree McFargem. An Osterville woman has pleaded not guilty in Barnstable District Court to a charge of negligent driving, following an incident in January where she drove into West Barnstable resident Dawn Capra, according to police, as Capra was unloading trash at the Barnstable transfer station. The crash broke Capra's 2 femurs and led to the amputation of her right leg just above her knee, according to Capra. Mary C. Grady was arraigned Friday, September 19th, on a charge of negligent operation of a motor vehicle. The criminal complaint against Grady was issued July 23rd, approximately 6 months after the incident. Grady was released on personal recognizance under the condition that she not operate or drive a motor vehicle. The status of her license is currently labeled as an immediate threat, according to the court. Her next court date is set for November 14th, but her appearance was waived by the judge. "I just want justice done," said Capra, outside of the courtroom. An attorney for Grady was not immediately available for comment after the arraignment. So what happened at the transfer station? On January 29th, Capra was removing trash from the trunk of her car at the Barnstable transfer station when another car, that was stopped behind her began rolling forward. Grady was the driver of the car that rolled forward, according to police records. Grady's foot slipped, quote-unquote, off the brake and onto the gas, according to police reports. Capra was hit and crushed between the two vehicles. Capra was airlifted to Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston with 2 broken femurs. Eventually, it was decided that Capra would need to amputate her right leg just above the knee. In May, Capra received her prosthetic leg, but due to bone growth in her right femur, Capra needed another surgery in July, she said. She was on crutches and without her prosthetic for a month. Currently, she's in once-a-week physical therapy program and will be going for a more intensive 2-week program in October. I felt nothing, Capra said about the January incident during a conversation with the Times in March. During that conversation, Capra recalled seeing one face appear above her while paramedics treated her that day. The driver. No words. She just looked at me, and I just looked at her, and I was just like, oh my God. And then they took me off, said Capra in March. Lawrence Rennie, a worker at the transfer station, applied a tourniquet to Capra's right leg. He had only received tourniquet training a few weeks prior to the incident. In February, Rennie received a certificate of appreciation from the Barnstable Town Council. At the time of the incident, Barnstable Police requested the license of the driver be temporarily suspended by the State Registry of Motor Vehicles. Also in the Cape Cod Times today, the headline, Falmouth Police F-150 truck and motorcycle crash head-on by Gifford Street by Desiree Nick-Fargem. A Falmouth police cruiser and a motorcycle collided head-on around 9:45 a.m. on Friday, September 19th near Gifford Street, according to the Falmouth Police Department. The police officer and the motorcyclist survived the crash, and the cause is under investigation, police said. When police responded to the scene, the motorcycle driver was conscious and alert, according to Falmouth Police Lieutenant Ryan Herkt on Friday afternoon. The motorcyclist, a man, was transported to Falmouth Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and was in stable condition, Hurt said. He did suffer a leg injury, according to Hurt. The police officer involved in the crash was also treated for minor injuries at Falmouth Hospital and was released. The two vehicles collided right outside 653 Gifford Street, according to Hurt. No preliminary causes of the crash were available, he said. The Falmouth police cruiser was a marked Ford F-150 truck. There was front damage only, he said. Falmouth Police Department is still conducting accident reconstruction and internal review to determine what measures might be taken if the officers found at fault, according to Hurt. As of Friday afternoon, there were no citations issued, and the ultimate fault had not been determined. The crash was still under investigation Friday afternoon by Falmouth Police Department, Cape Cod Regional Law Enforcement Council Crash Reconstruction Team, and the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office Bureau of Criminal Investigation. From the Cape and Islands section, seasonal boat parking in driveways. That bylaw change is floated in Yarmouth by Susan Vaughn. A Yarmouth Planning Board proposed bylaw amendment to allow parking boats in home driveways during the summer was a hot issue at its September 17th meeting, and it's expected to be a contentious issue at the November 17th special town meeting. Under the current bylaw, residents are only allowed to park boats in their yards, next to or behind their house, not in driveways. The boat parking article proposes allowing one boat, up to 28 feet long, on a registered trailer, to be parked in a home driveway from April 1st to November 1st with a special permit during the boating season. The amendment is only for residents who can't access the side of their property for their boats, Town Planner Kathy Williams explained at the meeting. West Yarmouth resident Alden Childs, who was previously cited for violating the existing bylaw, briefly spoke in favor of the proposed change. But some boat owners who aired concerns about not being able to find winter storage and off-site storage advocated for a year-round bylaw. Child's father-in-law, Richard Gallagher of Centerville, said the amendment would be a hardship on recreational boaters because it's difficult to find winter storage sites in the town. Planning Board Chair Joanne Crowley said the board never considered changing the entire bylaw to allow for year-round driveway storage and said, "We think this is an advantage to the bylaw." Another boat owner spoke in favor of year-round parking in driveways, also saying there are few places to store boats, and many boat owners can't afford the storage fees, and the required special permit fee of $250 to allow year-round parking would add more cost. Board members Ken Smith and Will Rubenstein brought up the financial burden of winter storage for some boat owners. Crowley and board member Susan Britta, however, said that the financial problem is not the board's issue, but its job is to preserve residential neighborhoods. Britta said, "There are already too many at-home businesses in residential areas." Williams suggested the board could solve the bylaw dilemma by taking out the seasonal requirement and apply it only for those who can't store their boats behind their homes because of property limitations. She said it'd be difficult to determine how many people that would apply to. Crowley said she was reluctant to change the proposed seasonal boat bylaw amendment to year-round, as she was worried it would not pass at town meeting. She pushed for a preliminary vote on the current proposal to be sent to the Select Board for its October 7th meeting. The board unanimously agreed with Crowley's proposal, but some members said they were expecting disagreement on the article among the Select Board members. The Planning Board must finalize the article on boat parking on October 15th to be ready for the town meeting. The article will go back to the Select Board October 21st before the town meeting, which requires a 2/3 majority on both bylaw changes. The other story in the Cape and Islands section is from their photographer, Steve Heslip, and he writes about more than photography, so his writing and reading him is definitely relevant. Remembering Cape Codder Photographer Barry Donahue by Steve Heslip. "Shooting shapes and shadows again" was a message I would often get from photojournalist Barry Donahue after his review of the day's photos in the Cape Cod Times. I'm not sure if Barry coined the phrase, but I heard it from him first. Its definition is self-explanatory: an artsy photograph, usually in black and white, and always eye-catching. It was Barry who was the master of that genre. His artful photos took center stage on the Cape Codder newspaper's front page for many, many years. I heard of his passing last week, and I can't remember a time in the last 40 years when he wasn't out there somewhere on his beloved Outer Cape with a camera. We first met in the mid-1980s. We weren't called visual journalists in those days, just simply news photogs. Newspapers were thick. Most of the photos ran in black and white. Our young shoulders easily supported a pair of Nikons and the ever-present Canvas Domke camera bag. We were friendly competitors, he at the Codder, me at the Times. A news event on the Outer Cape usually found us both at the same place, except he was always there before I was. Many a marine mammal stranding I would arrive at late after driving from Hyannis, just as he was leaving. "I think there might still be something to see down there," he would quip with a smile. Sometimes he was nowhere to be found, and I thought I had an exclusive. But no, he would arrive by water, rowing or paddling around a scene I could only view from my landlocked position. He was a familiar sight during storm coverage, outfitted in knee-high rubber boots and a yellow slicker, either on land or out on a fishing boat, capturing the ocean's fury in any weather. We had a long-running competition for taking images of each other in awkward photo moments, changing film right when the dune eroded, camera drops, on and on. But my favorite shot of Barry tells his story. Big smile, oars in the water, taking his grandson out for a row. A true Cape Codder, if ever there was one, and there's a photo of exactly that moment. Barry had a great eye for making photos combined with a knack for finding the right place to take them. He leaves Cape Cod a lasting legacy of fine photojournalism. There's very little local news in the Monday Cape Cod Times. It's usually exhausted in the Sunday paper, I believe. So we will go to the obituaries, a different kind of local news. And in today's Cape Cod Times, dated September 22nd, a Monday, first obituaries of M. Joseph DeMatteo, known as Marty, of Sarasota, Florida, was born in Boston April 1st, 1942, and passed at the age of 83 on September 16th. Marty graduated from St. Sebastian High School in 1959 and the Wentworth Institute of Technology in 1963. He served in the U.S. Army Reserve from 1963 through 1970. Thank you, Mr. DeMatteo, for your service. Early in his career, he worked for his grandfather's construction company, a heavy and highway constructing company that built miles of interstate highways and bridges. He is survived by his children and many family and friends. Relatives and friends are respectfully invited to greet the family during the visiting hours of Monday, September 29th, from 4 to 7 p.m. in the McDonald Cohane Funeral Home in South Weymouth at 809 Main Street. That's Route 18 opposite South Shore Hospital. A funeral mass will be held in the Church of the Resurrection in Hingham on September 30th at 10:30 a.m., with burial in Blue Hill Cemetery in Braintree. In lieu of flowers, please send donations in memory to the Boys and Girls Club of America. The other obituary in today's Cape Cod Times is of Doris Eileen David, born February 7th, 1937 in Schenectady, New York, who passed on September 17th of this year at the age of 88. She was the cherished wife of Robert Bob David, with whom she shared 63 wonderful years of marriage. Doris was a dedicated mother and community member, leaving behind a legacy of love and service. A memorial service will be held Thursday, September 25th, at 2 p.m. at Dennis Union Church, 713 Main Street, in Dennis, Mass. A committal service will follow on Friday, September 26th, at 1:30 p.m. at Mass National Cemetery, Connery Avenue, in Bourne, Mass. In lieu of flowers, any memorial contributions may be made to Dennis Union Church, P.O. Box 2020, Dennis, Mass. 02638, or online at duchurch.org. Services are under the direction of Doan, Beal, and Ames in South Dennis. And that concludes the obituaries and death notices listed in today's Cape Cod Times. And there are some local sports left. High school boys golf. Undefeated Nauset tops first Cape and Islands rankings by Alan Gunn. It's mission accomplished for undefeated Nauset and Cape Tech. Both the Warriors, 8-0, and the Crusaders, 6-0, have all but secured passage to their respective South sectionals after flying out of the gates through the opening weeks of the season. 4 other Cape and Islands high school boys golf teams will feel comfortably about their position as the campaign is tipped past the midway point with a win here or there more than enough. Led by Gavin Powderly and Jackson Smith, Falmouth is just 1 win away from reaching the postseason after a 4-10 record a year ago in a turnaround of brilliance. For that next 3-team tier, there's work still to be done. For the rest sitting below a 500 record, panic will be starting to set in as the sands of time are fleeting like the afternoon daylight. Here are the latest Cape and Islands boys high school golf rankings as of Friday, September 19th. Nauset's 8-0. It's becoming a broken record to say the Warriors are undefeated. Well, the Warriors are, in fact, still undefeated. If and when that run comes to an end, we'll look back at one heck of a streak that's currently at 24 straight wins as of September 19th. The Warriors will be the first to admit that they haven't had their best this season with a 243.1 scoring average per 9 holes as a team. They've broken 240 in just half their matches. Max St. Aubin is self-explanatory, but Coach Brian Hicks has had good play out of Jake Eldridge, Matthew Breda, Logan Miller, and Oliver Smith. St. John Paul II is 7-2. They're ranked number 2. The Lions have every intention of lifting up a Division III state championship trophy at the end of the season. It's one thing to say it, it's another to do it, and it's another level on top of that to then be realistic. Head coach Jeff Converse said the other day it's not only a realistic goal, but one this group should have. The depth. 12 guys is the most Converse has had in his near 20-year career, and he's returned 5 out of 6 that teed it up at Foxborough Country Club last year. Watch this space. Monomoy is number 3 at 5-1. Last season's Division III runners-up, the Sharks, are hot on the heels of the Lions in a quest to be one of those teams to try and catch at the end of the year. That comes despite losing 4 impactful seniors from a season ago. Junior duo Hank Brown and Cam Reeves have shouldered the load for a group otherwise with a lot of inexperience. The Sharks have adjusted to life back in the Cape and Islands Lighthouse Division where they've been hard to match, bar a one-shot loss to Nantucket. Number 4 is Cape Tech at 6-0. Sophomore Chris Morin has his Crusaders team undefeated and heading back to the Division III South Sectional with 4 regular season matches left. It's not only been a strong year for Morin, who's 6-0 in his own head-to-head matches, but the Crusaders overall. For the first time in a long time, they beat rivals Upper Cape and have all the makings of being a competitive team in the race for a Massachusetts Vocational State Championship. Bourne's next at 7-3. After 7 wins from their opening 8 matches, which included a 5-0 start, the Canalmen have hit a bit of a mid-season adversity following 3 straight defeats. Now isn't the time to take the foot off the gas, as a far more experienced team found out a year ago when the Canalmen lost 3 of their last 4 matches to miss the postseason by a single result. Ronan Kelly, who featured heavily as a freshman, will look to help his team avoid that same fate with 7 matches remaining. Others receiving consideration are Nantucket and Falmouth. And with a little bit about that, Falmouth duo earned spot in Cape and Islands lineup of the week. After every week of the boys' high school golf season, Cape Cod Times high school sports reporter Alan Gunn will select his Cape and Islands starting 8 team with how they would line up on his card. The pressure's starting to ramp up as the region's 16 golf teams jockey for position not just in the league standings but also in the race to that magic 500 mark to book a spot at sectionals. That means each time a golfer steps up to the first tee, they could potentially have their team season in their hands. Several have turned in flat-out consistent rounds. Sandwich's Blaise Chatini continues to be at the top of the pile, while Nauset's Max St. Auban made his return after being no worse than a co-medalist in all 3 matches over the week. After a 4-win campaign a year ago, Cape Cod Academy's Falmouth's duo Gavin Powderly and Jackson Smith have thrust themselves into the spotlight. Pairing 1, Blaise Chatini of Sandwich and Max St. Auban of Nauset. Pairing 2, Gavin Powderly of Falmouth. Powderly has the Clippers on the brink of the playoffs. He helped the Clippers inch within a win after a 2-0 week, which included an upset of St. John Paul II at Oyster Harbors on Thursday. Powderly carded a 38 that day. His round of the week was a 2 under 34 to share co-medalist honors with Chatini at Sandwich Hollows. There's also Jackson Smith of Falmouth, and Smith has been a solid 1-2 punch for the Clippers this season. He carded a strong 1 under 35 to finish one off the pace of his teammate Powderly and Sandwich's Chatini for medalist honors at Sandwich Hollows. He closed out the week with a 1 over 37 to earn medalist honors in an upset win over Oyster Harbors as the Clippers went 2-0. And with that, we've come to the end of our reading of this abbreviated. There's very little in today's paper, and we have a half-hour reading of the Cape Cod Times. It's normally an hour, but on Mondays, it tends to be a little sparse. This is your reader, Eric, saying be well, be safe, look after each other, and remember our veterans, especially those we've lost recently. Bye for now.